Hello, everyone. I wanted to take some time off and discuss some of my thoughts and share my experiences on how people can grow into staff plus IC roles. So, as the title says, Beyond Growth. So, you can imagine uh, this is going to be focusing on how to grow into staff plus IC roles. Uh, Before we dive into the this presentation, let me give you a little background about myself. So, I'm Bhupendra Mishra, currently working as a senior staff software engineer at SiriusXM. I have nearly 2 decades of experience as a software engineer, and I have had the opportunity to work for multiple domains. I got including telecom, banking, mobile apps, and even media. My focus has been primarily back-end distributed systems development, so that's where I specialize. So you can imagine my career has been anything but linear. So this session is about, or this session is for any aspiring senior engineers and who wants to grow into a staff plus engineers role, or existing staff engineers who are feeling a bit lost. So let's dive right in. So first of all, everyone knows that there are these roles that staff plus engineers, senior staff engineer, principal engineer, distinguished engineer, but no one really tells you that how to go for those roles, how you can become one. Uh, Typically, you see for the managerial path, there is a set expectations, guided rules, or the mile markers available which people follow to grow into their managerial track. But for engineers, it's somewhat opaque. So this talk is going to give you some insight that how to make those invisible ladder visible, that those invisible or opaque rules available for you. Because staff plus is not just about more output. It's not about more number of PRs you can create or the more number of lines of code you can write, but it's about how to make your impact and then how to make yourself visible in your organization. So one of the thing I've noticed that staff plus engineer roles require change in your identity. So typically, as an engineer, we have been focusing mostly on the writing code, solving problem by using these coding tools available for us or various other frameworks. But as we start to grow into a staff plus roles, it becomes more of a leadership role. And you may even find sometimes these there are overlapping concerns between a managerial track as well as a staff plus IC tracks. So you will find those overlapping at times. And there may be some habits which you may need to let go when you are growing into a staff plus roles. So you will need to yeah, work on those as well. So I I feel that there are set of these five mind shift which you need to prepare yourself for and work towards them. And once you have excelled into these shifts, you will be able to you will be able to move on to the next ladder in your career. So first, I like to call it execution to influence. Second one is from feature work to strategic thinking. Third one is from solo to team multiplier. Fourth one is from reacting to proactive ownership. And fifth one is participation to persuasion. So let's look into deeply on each of these shifts. So now shift number one from execution to influence. As we know that as a senior engineer, we are just getting things done. We are taking the feature work and delivering it on time and with the good quality. So that we are already good at these things. As a staff engineer, we have to get the right things done, obviously, but not just within our team, but outside of our team as well. And sometimes it may involve even the product team. So not just engineering, but also working with the product. Similarly, it's not just about the speed. It's not about how fast you can deliver things, but it's all about choosing that impact in a way which will help you in a longer run. So you are whatever decision you are making, that's going to change your trajectory for the next 6 months to a year. So we need to make those decisions wisely. And similarly, we need to build the trust. So obviously, you cannot expect on the day one to your manager or your director or your principal engineer to trust you just because you are saying that you have done something. We have to show up daily. We have to provide the feedback in a way which makes sense and as well as which impacts uh, the trajectory of the project or the yeah, goal of the project or wherever it is heading to. So, and I'll say this is the most complicated and challenging shift to come across because even for me, it took a long time to understand how I'm able to make a influence the project, or how I'm able to influence the project without even executing things at times. So let me share a story from one of the project which we experienced this. So in one of the system which my other team which I was working closely with managing, they had a lot of issues reported on that, and it was responsible for revenue generation of the company. So obviously, you can imagine those bugs were impacting how much how the revenue calculation is done, and the engineer who was responsible for that project, he convinced the leadership that the only way for this to make sense is if they can rewrite the whole thing. Now, we all know rewriting is never easy, and it takes forever because it's an easier said than done kind of a thing. We always have these business logic which has been embedded over the years, and we can't simply just take them out in a couple of days or a couple of weeks or months and simply rewrite it. It doesn't happen that way. So, anywho, uh, I knew the director, so he asked me that, okay, do you have any input on this? Because we are considering rewriting of this application. So I asked him couple of days. I looked into the various bugs which were reported. I looked into the system architecture itself, and then came up with this proposal that okay, these are the big bucket of issues, which is what you are seeing, and this is the piece of code which is responsible for that area. It's better to just refactor this piece of code and take it out, obviously, make those necessary changes, make the necessary improvement on the business logic, and this should solve almost 70% of your problem, and rather than rewriting, because rewriting will take at least 1 year. So they agreed to that, and obviously their team did the refactoring. They made those changes, and as we anticipated, it did not really drop the bug to be say 70%, but they were still down around 60%. So it was a pretty close or pretty good assessment. But at the same time, now that they were down 60%, they had more capacity, more time to look into the remaining 40% of issues. So they were able to fix other edge cases, and then actually they were able to solve almost 80% of the issues over in a like a quarter or so. So you can imagine that I did not really write a code. I did not even do much work. I just suggested, based on my assessment and my gut feeling, that hey, you should consider this, and it helped the project a lot. So that's how we have to understand that. That's what the influence looks like. So now let's look into the second shift. So second shift is like from moving on from feature work to strategic thinking. So one of the most important thing we need to start practicing is we have to start questioning, and don't worry about the position or of the person who is giving us the input or the providing us the feature requirement. Don't worry about uh, I mean, just yeah, ask questions, because if you start asking questions, then you will know that okay, we don't want to know what are we building, because we have already given that. We need to know why we are building this. What will happen in 6 months from today? What will happen in a 1 year? Because once we know where product and where business is growing into, we will be able to uh, give a direction to our technical design, to our architecture, in a way which will serve us in a longer term, rather than just doing whatever is being asked. Because in that way we may do something today, but let's say something changes in the 3 months, in the 6 months, we may end up refactoring whatever we have done today. So uh, aligning this local execution with the organization strategy will help you serve better, design the system better architect, and also make a practice of building a mental model, because put yourself into the shoes of the user of your system, your application, whether it's your business user within the company, or whether it is from a real customer. Think that how it will make how they will use this application, how they will interact with it, what their experience will look like, and based on that you can make better decisions. Similarly, we have to just change ourselves from strategically thinking the future. Not just trying to say, okay, how we will handle the failures if something happens. Can we say, okay, can we make the solution in a way that there are no failures, there are no errors in this part? Because if we already know what the user flow is going to look like, we can also identify those failure points, or those places where there is a possibility of error. And then if we already know about those possibilities, we will be able to put them, or we will be able to fix them in a better way. Yeah. So that's what I like to call, yeah, another shift. Uh, So the shift number three is from solo to team multiplier. So in general, if you are a senior engineer, you are seen as a this person who can get things done no matter what is being provided. So in that way, you already have that hero or hero tag to your brand anyway. If you have been delivering consistently, and if you are being valued, if you are valued by the your management or your team. So the next thing as a staff engineer you need to do is you need to enable others to do the same thing. Now, it may be your debugging strategy. It may be your technical skills with respect to the coding, or finding the right solution or the right data structure. Or it could be looking into production issues, figuring out why a failure happened, and then fixing them. So you need to make sure that you are able to mm, mm, propagate this to your team. So in that way, your team can also start following your footprints, and they can also become hero, because once you enable others, you have multiplied yourself into multiple people. And obviously, as you know, more people, more heroes within that team can deliver more value to the organization. And everyone really appreciates what exactly leaders or as a mentor you have done from them. So it will automatically come across into the leadership that, okay, this person is able to train others and give more output than others. So this might sound counterintuitive, but in the beginning, yes, you may need to babysit a few engineers more than the others. But once they know what exactly you are, where you are taking them, and they will start learning about your tips and tricks, then you don't need to be there. So let me share you another example from my own experience. So in one of the project which I was working on, company moved from Datadog to App Dynamics to save the cost. And I had some past experience in the app dynamics. So, but the team was not aware much on that. So when any production issue happened, it was me who was helping all the time to figure out, okay, what kind of clients are seeing this issue, why the failures are happening, is it a new deployment or is it an existing issue? So I realized that yes, I cannot sustain it this way. So what I did, I took us. I first thing I did, yeah, created a wiki page of that how to navigate the app dynamics, how to find the failures and everything, how to look into the dashboards, how to follow the communication from one microservice to another. So documented all those things. Secondly, I gave some internal trainings within the team and helped them with their basic navigation and following the trees, following the errors, figuring out the error rates, all those things, what we typically extract from the telemetry applications. And it helped me immensely because obviously in the beginning I was needed as a taking as a back seat to figure out, okay, if they are able to drive the debugging if there's a production issue. And eventually it slowed down, so I saved my own time. So I did not really I mean, obviously they learned and they were able to solve those issues. But for me, it was like I was able to get back that 1 hour whenever we are investigating a production issue. So it's a win-win situation for both. And then obviously team is now more familiar with the app dynamics, so they can handle the production issue without me being there sitting in their back. So yeah, that's how I help my team, and yeah, that was seen as a good initiative from my manager and my director that, okay, this is a good approach, and yeah, they valued that. I mean, obviously leaders values your skill and your mm, let's say ability to go and train others as well. So, now let's look into the shift number 4. So from reacting to proactive ownership. So typically, we need to start owning these ambiguous problems, because I have seen a lot of senior engineers, they want to have everything defined in their Jira. They want the step-by-step action items or to-dos to solve that problem. If you want to grow into a staffless engineer role, you have to stop asking that, hey, give me everything. You can take the problem defined as it is, and obviously that does mean charting, heading to uh, uncharted territories and these unknown waters. And then once you go into deep into the problem solving, you will learn that okay, how to identify the gaps which were defined in the requirement or the feature being asked. You cannot expect others to do that. If you are still expecting others to do that, then that is one of the biggest, let's say, blocking point for you to say you are not yet taking the ownership. So this is where we need to stop doing. And sometimes the changes are not very big. They are very small. You may not even realize that sometimes these things are even the tiniest changes you make. You help the team. So mm, let me give you really another smallest example, which I experienced, and it helped me in my career. So when I joined Lucent, Alcatel Lucent on Bell Labs those days, back in 2014, I believe. Yeah. So they were still, well, we all want to follow agile. So what they would do is they would create first all the stories, epics, tasks in the Excel sheet, have all the labels and everything populated there, and then they will copy. Uh, Go to the Jira dashboard and start creating stories one by one by just copy pasting this information from Excel sheet to Jira. Now I realize that it is not a good use of engineers' time, because sometimes we are spending 3, 4, 5 hours a day just to create the Jira stories every sprint, so every 2 weeks. And what I did, I researched about if the Jira has any plugin, and obviously Jira had a REST endpoint exposed, and this to create these stories and tasks. So what I did, I created a standard REST endpoint which will read this Excel file and hit the our Jira instance, and they create these issues in like a minute or two. So it's the smallest problem. I mean, to me, it was a saving that 3, 4, 5 hours of each engineer, because if you have, let's say, 20 engineers spending 4 hours, it's almost like a 10 business day. So you are saving that 10 days in your sprint. So, yes, what once I shared that REST endpoint or that small application with my manager, he was very excited to see that hey, there's something available where you can save all your time. And what he did, he obviously shared with the other teams, because he mentioned that same thing was done by the other team. So as he shared with the other team, it gave me visibility that this new guy is able to build this plugin and the REST service, which can create our Jira task in a couple of minutes. So obviously, you see, it's not a big uh, project. It's the smallest project which I did, and within a week or two, I had a visibility across multiple organizations because of this smallest change. So yeah, just start taking initiatives on these unclaimed problems where no one wants to do anything. Now, the next shift is participation to persuasion. So, what it means? So, first thing you need to understand that influence comes from writing the proper documentation, giving feedback, or being that person which people can go in if they have a question. So you cannot be jumping up if some issue comes up. You have to become calm. You have to become You have to take a step back and figure out, okay, what is going on? How can I solve this problem? Rather than being uh, all edgy that, hey, this is not my problem, other system is broken, they did not give all the necessary input, or whatever the contract we had, they did not uh, follow through that. Yes, that might be the case, but you don't have to, you have to be provide the same information in a calm manner. So they understand that, okay, this is a gap in their system or whatever it is. So you have to build that credibility. You have to build that personality that people can rely on. If you start, if you become jittery, then everyone will be scared. Why should I come to you? Because you start shouting people for no good reason, or you just want to shake it off, and it's like it's not my problem. So that doesn't help. So, and in working as a team does mean that you have to trust others, you have to respect others, and even if it is a critical feedback, you have to give it in a way which makes them feel valued and doesn't demean anyone, because everyone is doing their best with the limited information they had. And yes, there's a possibility that there was a gap, but have it give it in a positive way. So now here comes the hidden work of Staff Plus. So this work is not very rewarding. You will not find it that it will give you a mm, mm, recognition among other engineers, but you gotta do it anyway. So what kind of work is that? Typically, writing the design docs. I mean, I know most of engineers are very bad at writing the design doc or the documentation itself. We just believe in this theory that our code is the documentation. That, so that might be true for some cases, but no, we still need to write the design doc that make a habit of creating ADRs, what architectural decision records, because when we change the architecture at some point in the journey of the software development, some people may not be aware that why we made that change. So have make a habit. Uh, Start creating these UML documents of the sequence flows, and write down the strategies that you are following today, the use cases you know of. So in that way, if once they are documented, they becomes a reference point for a product. They becomes a reference point for future engineers who might work on your systems. So do these things. Find someone whom you can mentor, and it doesn't have to be within your team, because sometimes it may cause a conflict. So it's better to mentor someone across the team, because someone outside of your team may be able to share your thoughts, share their thoughts more freely, who is with their mentor, if the mentor is not from within the team. So yeah, make that habit. Create alignment in the meeting. So I'm sure you may have experienced a lot, and as we know, we all dread meetings. We don't want to head go into them because we think they are not valuable for most of the time, if not all. But see if you can create that alignment. See if you can be that glue to understand if there is a gap between what two teams or the two persons are trying to convey. See if you can rephrase it. See you can create that alignment. Or sometimes it could be as simple as that if you are trying to solve a problem which involves multiple mm, teams, ask them for a common time, and this joint testing, or whatever you want to call it, joint debugging session, that might help everyone. It saves time, but at the same time you are almost like a war room, sitting together and finding the solution. So yeah, creating that alignment, and being that supporting the organization behind the scenes. So keep in mind that you will need to support your engineering manager, director, whoever you work with, to what their goals are, because they may have, well, obviously the goals for the team will be same, but internally they will need your help as a staff engineer to give the right estimates, because each company has a different expectations from engineering manager. So if they rely you for your assessment, for your for the LOEs, for the estimation, then yes, you got to be that person. So you may or may not get the complete credit, but you are still supporting the team. So these are the things we got to do. So now let's look about these common pitfalls, what we do. And I will say I was one of the same people. So when I started my career, I was hoping that my manager will see how hard I'm working, and they will tell me where you can go next from here, and I will grow. But guess what? It did not happen. They have their own agenda in mind. They are working for their own career, and they have their own goals. So you have to first say that, okay, you cannot be waiting for others to see you as a engineer. No, you have to sometimes make that noise, or make yourself heard, make yourself visible by doing the things which we mentioned earlier in the this presentation. So that's what do. You can, second thing is focusing only in the execution and the technical depth. So one of the things which I have seen for the engineers, they will focus less on the communication skill and more on the technical skills. At some points, you will realize that you cannot be just speaking technical language all the time. You need to start speaking the language of the product, the language of your customer, so you can uh, convey your thoughts to cross-functional teams, and that way you will grow more than just focusing on the execution part. Avoiding ambiguity. This is the most common thing I've seen. People don't want to take the problems which are undefined, because sometimes there are no end sight, sometimes there is no end goal in sight. So defining that to your manager, that what you have been doing from last sprint to a month becomes challenging, because sometimes you may be just looking in the muddy water without any clear light. So you cannot avoid that. Yes, you need to have some kind of end strategy in mind, but that does not mean you need to completely avoid it. Similarly, ignoring business and product context, as I already mentioned, that you cannot be. You have to understand the big business and the product context, that where business wants to grow, how the product speaks. Start learning that language of the product. And yeah, one last thing which I have realized a lot of engineers do, over optimizing for the perfection. We just need to move away from that. While it may serve well, but at the same time, what matters most is how fast and reliably we can deliver, rather than over optimized solution. So if you have time, sure, optimize it. Not saying that don't optimize it, but you have to focus on the delivering as well. So and think think in this way. You cannot be thinking that, oh, let me write this complex piece of code which is optimized. No, try to write the simplest code, because that's where the future you or even future engineer might will help you understand. It will help them understand more that what you have been what you're trying to do here. So these things are, I will say, the common pitfalls which you need to watch out for. So now the next thing is, how can you start acting like a staffless engineer today? So as I said, more or less it's a reiteration of whatever we have already discussed. Start writing the design docs, volunteer for any ambiguous project, mm, mentor anyone new engineers outside of team. If your company hires interns, they are the best one to mentor because they are still exploring their career journey, and you can help them where they want to lead. Focus on long-term value and not just the delivery. So what does that mean? You have to think that every software has a life cycle of anywhere from 10 to 15 years, even 20 years at times. So imagine that how you can make the solution or the architecture in a way which can sustain that and which without significant refactoring. So those things will come when you have the product context, when you have the business context, and when you have been keeping yourself one step ahead. So just start doing all these things today itself. So now summarizing that what exactly staff plus rules are. So they are influence plus strategy plus systems. So uh, move away from uh, not I would say move away, but more like shift. Start considering both from code to communication. Start speaking multiple language. And what does that mean? That means speak to a product language with a product person, speak on a technical language with a technical person. So start with doing that. uh, Start amplifying your solutions. So when I say amplifying, obviously that means you are rather than trying to deliver everything by yourself, you are multiplying yourself by mentoring others. So do that. And similarly, uh, don't just give all the solutions to your engineers. So rather than solving everything from your engineers working with them, help them how to uh, come to solutions. So more like a steering that, okay, you are giving them a direction that, okay, how can they solve the problem? And these things, you don't need a permission to start thinking and acting in this way. These things you can start doing today itself. Start writing the documentation. No one is going to question that why you are doing, as long as obviously you are meeting the all the delivery expectations from your manager. So, yeah, thank you so much for your time and listening to this presentation. And yeah, if you have any question, leave on the comment. Thank you so much.